What do you think? Welcome to engineering. They let me wheel out that monitor. It's the largest monitor on the ship. Yeah, we're not too advanced around here, guys. We're technically watching a little bit of Star Trek from the future, but we're in the past now. And this is engineering, and that is a Warp 6.5 engine. And as you can see, it's in the classical style. We got the viewport looking in on the gravimetric manifold. All our controls are all analog. Big chunky buttons. All kinds of displays. It's rustic. It's classic. It makes me feel comfortable. It's something I understand. And without further ado, let's get to the topic of this video. Currently, there's nothing displaying on that monitor, as you can see. But we're going to put a data card in, and we're going to check out what this video is about. Let's hop to it. This is Blender 2.91, I believe. I've been learning it for about a month now. So forgive me if some of the things I do seem a little inane, but I'm just trying to get the hang of things. I don't understand why when something is updated we have to primarily just move where things are. Maybe in my, baby brain, I can't figure these things out because my neural pathways are not as efficient as the developers. But I would hope that when people are creating new updates to things, that where they put things in the UI is actually more efficient, not less efficient. So maybe if I continue to struggle with 2.9, I will eventually reconfigure my neural pathways and have an easier time with it. Who knows? Maybe the maximum efficiency of 2.9 is higher than the maximum possible efficiency of 2.7. Will I ever find out? Probably not. But that's beside the point, because what we're looking at today is an upcoming DeviantArt project. I am over 90% done, I believe. I designed this ship primarily in 2.7 because I'm not good enough with just the muscle memory in 2.9. And then I ported this in to 2.9 and then went ahead and tried to texture everything. It is amazing to me that with EV Renderer, which is the in-engine renderer of Blender 2.9, that we can see something of this quality in real time. Moving around this object in 2.7 would crash my computer at this speed. But with 2.9, we can see basically the full rendered view of this ship in real time and moving around the camera decently fast. And, and this is on a computer that's, despite being installed on the Dingwall, is not that advanced. So yeah, that's enough about EV Renderer, although it is amazing and I could talk about it all day, and how it frees up basically my workload in order to free my imagination a little bit more, because I can see things in real time now in rendered view. Let's talk about what this ship is. My working title for this ship was Fenton, but I just thought Fenton sounded strange eventually, and I've gone with USS Deltoton, which I think is the Greek word for triangulum. I like space names. I like things like Constellation, Pollux, Enceladus, different celestial names. I think they're a good all-rounder for what to call your ship. And Triangulum is the name of another galaxy. And Triangulum sounds a little bit too much like triangle. So the Greek, I believe, or Roman name for it, Deltoton, has a certain je ne sais quoi to it. It has a certain spiciness on the lip. And as you can see, we have a gigantic NCC number, 89450. Now, what is the story behind that? This ship is the precursor to my Enterprise. Maybe you've seen it on DeviantArt, the valedictory class. It is the bane of my existence. I friggin' hate it. And I've been working on valedictory for like 8 years. Like, I can't. There's drawings of that ship design I have in textbooks from over 8 years ago. You know, back when I was still at Starfleet Academy. Wink, wink. And it's just been burning a hole in my brain. I cannot work the configuration in such a way that it satisfies me from all angles. I'm sure about the dorsal view, but for some reason, when we get to any other view, it just looks very strange. Maybe you've seen it on my DeviantArt, but I've already remade the ship completely, at least 3 times. And so what I decided to do was create this class. In the Deltotan, we are using a lot of the design principles and modules that would be going into the valedictory class. So as you could imagine, that this is actually a testbed in canon for valedictory class materials. These are valedictory class nacelles, valedictory class escape hatches, escape pods, lifeboats. This is a valedictory class paint scheme, valedictory class iconography. This is my new Starfleet badge that I designed. We got a valedictory class phaser array and valedictory class deflector style. Let me shift to a solid view. Valedictory class science modules. So what does your eye focus on? Probably the nacelles. This is the result of a lot of deliberation in my mind and a lot of sketches. It is based on a chisel. If you've ever seen a chisel that you use to carve wood, it has a handle, and then kind of the end tapers together into this little point. And if we look at canon, what we know is canon, the universe class, by the time we get to the universe class, nacelles are very spindly. They look like they would break in a second. But if we use logic for a moment, we will realize that when something is spindly in space, that means that the people who constructed it were very confident in it, not that they were not. It's not necessarily weak. It is actually possibly stronger, because as things become more advanced, they may appear weaker, but in fact they are not. So this nacelle design reflects that. This nacelle looks like it has a completely exposed grill structure, but in actuality it's as hard to break that as it is to break into the bridge. If you look at the way the shield array is, the material it is made out of, perhaps it's neutronium, I don't know, or something even more exotic, it's not breaking easy. And what we gain in efficiency more than makes up for any type of defensive weakness, because these exposed nacelle grills will give us a conventional warp style at an efficiency far greater than that of any ship we've seen before. Of course, we also have quantum slipstream, so we've got backups. The bridge style and dorsal saucer style, straight out of the valedictory. It's scooped so that you can look at the bridge when you're on top of the saucer. What does this solve? It solves the problem of having saucer sections that are too rounded at the top to feasibly have windows that you can actually see out of. So we scoop it like we just took an ice cream scoop to the top of a bowl of ice cream, and we can look down inside, and now windows are free to be at their own proper angle. So we can see the bridge complex. We can see these dorsal shuttle doors. This is just kind of straight off of Deep Space Nine, the way that shuttles could leave by having a floor go down, pick up the shuttle, and then raise to the top and then let them go. I always thought that was cool. I'm thinking of repainting the floor around this, but for now I've left it be. When you get out of a shuttle, you can go into one of these emergency doors if you need to access the bridge complex really fast, as opposed to going underneath and going to the flight deck, the dorsal saucer flight deck. Bridge complex can detach. Look at this red line and fly away. This is primarily for diplomatic and first contact missions. You don't want to scare them too bad, so you take the bridge complex. These windows here, this is a new experiment that I was originally going to have exclusive to the valedictory class, but seeing as this is the valedictory test bed, I've decided to put it here as well. These huge windows in there, that's the ballroom. Imagine that. Think of the first contact scenarios we can get up to with that. Think of the diplomacy you can do. Think of the things you can sign in there. Man, we're gonna be friggin' tricking so many aliens. Oh, oops! I didn't mean trick. I mean impressing a lot with the prowess of the Federation. And they're gonna be in there dancing around, bebopping cool. A couple of guys upside the school started making trouble in the neighborhood, getting one little fight, and the Federation got scared, and now we're moving in with our auntie and our uncle in the Maquis. Pennants all over the place. USS Deltoton, NCC 89450. These windows were a goddamn nightmare. Does anybody know an easy way to put windows on something? These impulse sections here, the impulse drive, is ripped straight off the Cerritos, actually, from Star Trek Lower Decks. I was fascinated by this idea of hiding your impulse engines below the saucer, right? So that they're hard to shoot. And I just thought that was interesting on the Cerritos. And it made it so it did not break the dorsal view design. That's very cool. And we have 1, 2, 3 main shuttle bays, 2 flanking either side of the spine, and 1 at the back, your standard configuration. So yeah, that's about all we can say about the Deltoton. We also have a drop bay here for cargo. And let's do a brief overview of our docking ports. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So what is the story behind the scene? I design ships and then I put them in a cool scene. It's important to me to have a bit of a story to each image that I produce, so that people can come along and pour in a little bit of their own imagination, do a little bit of their own plot writing in their mind, and come up with their own thoughts about it. That's why I usually will not explain that much in the description for my art posts. What we're doing here, though, in my mind, is we're releasing Starfleet training drones. What do you think of this? I designed this purely for efficiency. This was a fun design. This design is a computer core surrounded by armor with RCS thrusters everywhere, so you know this is maneuverable. Sensors all over the place. Forward sensor, aft sensor, impulse drive, and its own deflector at the front, just to simulate combat against real ships using deflector pulses and whatnot, and shield emitters on all sides. So a highly defensible computer core that's moving around very fast. Also phaser strips. This is the ultimate training device for zeroing your phaser arrays. This is for testing the accuracy of your computer's target solutions. Tactical loves these, and right now we're doing a shakedown cruise of the Deltoton, and we've released 3. There's that one originally, this one, and this one that we have impacted it. However, its shield has absorbed our blast. This looks strange from here, but if we go and look at it that way, it looks alright. Does it look as good as 2.7 to me? No, not really. I still need to learn how to do these transparencies. I can't get this to look how I want it to look. Originally in 2.7, I would set a cloud texture to that, turn up the contrast, and then turn down the alpha channel, so it would look like I just had a transparent cloud texture that was blue and emitting light, kind of like how a shield looks when it's impacted by a phaser. But I can't really seem to do it here. But regardless, we'll look at it in rendered view. It's not that bad. I might be able to fix it in post. Oh yeah, there's a star in the background here, you can see, because I like it when we have an understandable light source, just to frame things in reality. Yes, that's what's going on in this picture. Very impressed with 2.9's ability to make a realistic looking phaser beam. I created this beam here. It's a solid cylinder. However, I've turned the emitter all the way up to like 9999, and what that does is it creates a beautiful looking bloom effect around it, and also it actually will light things in the environment around it in a realistic way. I mean, look, this really does look like we're firing some type of beam, does it not? Also, I've taken care to put lighting sources all over the place in order to simulate what's actually happening. So yes, we're seeing an orange reflection onto the ship that's being reflected off the impacted shield of the drone. Everything has a light source in space. Everything has to light itself sometimes. Pay very close attention to how your lighting is. Okay, it is possibly the most important thing in creating a realistic looking starship image, or any other image for that matter. Space in the background is a little bland right now. I didn't say this was done. I'm planning on having maybe a nebula. I don't know, like something just in the background here. Maybe I'm thinking blue, but maybe not blue. Maybe we could do like a kind of a purple or pink nebula. I don't know. I don't like overusing nebulas. So I'll have to think about that. So yes, this is the Deltotan, and this is Blender 2.9. Let's take a brief look at how I'm using the nodes, because in 2.9 they really want you to use nodes. Let's go to shader editor. If you look at this and think it's ridiculous, good, tell me why, because I don't know what I'm doing yet in 2.9. I'm really just playing a little puzzle game every time I create an object here. Principal BSDF goes into surface. Fresnel is how transparencies were done by default in Blender 2.7, but now I need to select it. I put it on base color. Brightness contrast has gone to alpha in this case, and our texture is Aztec Saucer 1 transparency. What's one problem so far with 2.9? I don't know what is going on with UV editing. If I hit this is the saucer, this is the transparency layer rather, and I do a smart unwrap, why does it not project it onto the left side here? In Blender 2.7, that would immediately port the verts onto the other side, and I would be able to edit it as I see fit. But right now I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Why is it that UV doesn't seem to want to go onto the other side? Is it possible that I need to do this every time by going to add a node, input texture coordinate UV vector? Does that work? I don't know, it doesn't seem like it did anything. If I go back to UV editing, does that work? Like, see, I'm still not getting it on the left side, and that is the texture I'm using for that object, by the way. See, now it looks wrong. But why? See how the Aztec looks like it's all wrong? It shouldn't be, because the saucer is round and the texture is round. Why would it not map onto it? It would in 2.7, but that's just I guess them's the breaks, eh? So there, we've recovered back to the way it was. Good. As you can see, we do have a nice little sheen on it. I love when things come together, right? Look at this. Welcome to the future of Starfleet, eh? But not the 32nd century. This is design philosophy from the mid-2400s. In my mind, in my headcanon, Enterprise H launches in like 2490, something like that. So that we have a ship before the J. We go Valedictory class, and then Enterprise I, and then Universe class. I think we've got a reasonable compromise in physical design. What you notice with Universe class is that it's all very dark. So as you can see from this, the two-tone color, the dark painting is starting to overtake the white painting, or bright painting style. And you can even see that on the Odyssey in Star Trek Online if you take the Enterprise F as being canon. We're starting to see forward notches, and things happen to the forward saucer section. In my mind, I imagine this is some type of ramming tool. This is some type of projected energy or ramming spear in my mind, and that's the logical reason for why we have these forward designs starting with the Odyssey and then going all the way to Universe class. In fact, I believe it actually starts on the Sovereign. I think there's something different going on with the front part nose of the Sovereign. As you can see, I did not follow Sovereign saucer design here. I've actually gone with completely a round saucer this time, mostly because I like it. I never understood the attraction to these long, oddly shaped saucer sections. I do not like chevrons, like on the Intrepid. Oblongs, I'll take them, but perfectly circular saucers are the best, in my opinion. And one knock-on effect of that is that this ship just looks like the Constitution. That's not a bad thing. The Constitution class configuration is possibly the greatest configuration ever achieved by Starfleet. Covers all your bases. Looks awesome from every angle. There is no bad angle to shoot a Constitution configuration. And I don't mean shoot with a gun, I mean shoot with a camera. You know, if you're trying to go out there and film one in person. Check out this view here. That's cool. It's like we're getting the best of both worlds here, pun intended. We're getting the best of Galaxy class, and we're getting the best of Constitution class, because we have the forward, curvy kind of pylon structure, but the nacelles are above the saucer, and we got the wide secondary hull. Check that out. So cool. I love when we get a certain elevation of a ship and we get these long, sweeping, unbroken curves like this. See the way the secondary hull curves into the pylon? For me, that's one of the special things in life. It's one of the things that makes life worth living. And speaking of life being worth living, that is this video. This is Mark's Design Room, taking a look at the Deltotan. What did you think of the video? Do we want more Mark's Design Room? Is this an interesting addition to what you can see on my DeviantArt page? I don't know, but you can let me know, and I'll see you next time.